Power 93.7 WBLK, Todd Anderson with Tracy Williams on the phone from Rochester, New York. Tracy, how you doing?
I'm great. How you feeling, Todd?
Good, good. Now, I have you on the phone here, and I want listeners to know what you're doing with respect to this bike ride that you're going to do from Los Angeles to New York City, correct?
That is correct.
How many miles is that?
Close to 4,000.
4,000 miles. How long is it going to take you?
I leave Los Angeles on March 29th. I arrive in New York City May 27th, so roughly 2 months.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, let's talk about why you're doing this, because that must be there must be a reason as to why you're doing it, and why are you doing it?
Well, I'm doing it for the CTW Foundation. And a CTW Foundation was a foundation that was started by me and my children, actually, to commemorate their mother. When she died, she was studying to become a lawyer. She was taking the LSAT, and she wanted to go into law because of some of the stuff that she felt was unequal. Right? There wasn't enough representation in corporate law, tax law, and urban development. We had just begun to start buying houses, and when we needed some engineering reports or some other thing, we couldn't find any of the people that looked like us and minorities in general. And we tried to find a lot of minorities to work with, any type of brown minorities, and we couldn't.
Okay.
So she wanted to go to, originally she wanted to be a teacher, but then she changed she wanted to go into law, corporate law and tax law. When we begin to talk about, architects, civil engineers, urban planning, again, corporate law and tax law, we were getting into real estate back in 2002.
Okay.
Buying properties in inner city areas, trying to fix them up. We had a lot of experiences because we originally did not want to leave the city. No matter what, we wanted to make sure that we stayed in the city. And it was our goal at that time, because we had 2 children, that we would begin to invest in the city and try and change some of the practices that were there. We ran into some education problems as far as what our children were experiencing as far as public education. And we definitely wanted to stay in the city. So the idea was to begin buying properties in the city.
Okay.
And motivate other people to do so as well.
When you went on that venture to buy housing, and this is a real estate venture, a lot of minority real estate agents. So there was a lack of minorities in what area? And
like when we needed to get the engineering inspections, or we needed to get some drawings done, we couldn't find anyone that was black to do that. We couldn't find any minorities to do those other type of ancillary jobs. The goal was to buy the houses that no one wanted, the eyesores, right? The abandoned houses, the rundown houses. Even when I went to my first auction, I was bidding on houses that no one else wanted, knowing that it was going to, take a little bit of money to fix them up. But the goal was to fix up the eyesores, beautify the neighborhoods, and create jobs for people that would come in and fix those houses. So there was a 3-pronged ideal that we had when we went after these certain types of houses.
Right. So if I understand correctly, so you bought these abandoned houses, eyesores, and the people who would satisfy your vision for these homes needed to have some architectural background, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you couldn't find...
You have to submit a drawing or something to the city to tell them what you're going to do to the property.
Right.
They have to be by licensed professionals. Or they won't accept your drawings or whatever changes you want to make.
So now you're saying there were no minorities?
None.
Zero?
None. Zero. We couldn't find one. Up until recently, my company now is working on a project, and we still, 14 years later, are having trouble finding minorities to do some of these jobs when it comes to urban renewal or urban planning.
Wow. Okay, so CTW Foundation, and CTW stands for?
Courtney Tania Williams. That was my wife's name.
Okay, and she passed.
Correct. She died in 2002.
Okay, so you and your kids came up with this foundation in her memory, and the purpose of this foundation is to recruit or help or just encourage minorities to get into this architectural field.
Not only architects, we need more civil engineers, urban planners, architects, again, corporate law and tax law, anything that has to do with improving the urban living condition. And there are a lot of different areas that go into that. Again, when we went into the city to fill out certain paperwork, or even the people that worked in those particular departments, you probably have to have a degree, a civil engineering degree or an architect degree to work into certain departments in the city.
Okay.
And they weren't minorities either.
All right. So how does riding a bike from LA to New York, how does it relate to that?
Well, what we're hoping to do is raise money for our scholarships and programming. The goal is to raise enough money where, if I'm in LA, for example, while I'm in LA, I'm a Mason. I'm a pencil Mason of New York, and I had to reach out to the other lodges to get permission to travel from LA to New York, and I'll be stopping in all these other lodges along the way. And so, while I'm in LA, I will meet with other organizations, for example, 100 Men, and organizations like that, and we'll discuss what type of things that they have that will align with what we have. And if we can find a synergy there, then the CTW will write a grant to that organization so that they can add a component that talks about civil engineering and urban planning. And then also, we want to give scholarships to students that want to go into that area. And so if they meet the criteria, we want to give them scholarships to go into college. And if they graduate, the third part of that is the TLW scholarship, which is Transforming Lives Worldwide, the company I own now.
Okay.
We want to give them a life stipend. So once they accept the job in that field, then we'll give them some money to start life as well. Because oftentimes when you graduate college, you're graduating with debt, and it's pretty tough just to start life. So we want to be able to help at the junior high school level, middle school level, college level, and right when you're starting life. We have a broad vision, but it's still kind of narrow because we're focusing on certain we're focusing on certain occupations. So we want to raise enough money for the foundation to help start programming or fund programs that exist already, and also give people an opportunity to get up on life on the right foot. But the goal is to stop in these 13 states that I'm traveling with, talk to a lot of different organizations, find out what they're doing, see if we can't find some synergy, write some overlapping programs to fill in the gaps, and get us moving in the right direction in the fields that affect our life the most.
Okay, and so I would imagine you're in shape enough to do this trip?
Yeah, I've been training for like the last 3 years, Todd.
Really?
I have. Me and my wife, my current wife, we train quite a bit. Our first thing was, we ran all summer, right? And then the following summer, I did a challenge for people to ride 1,000 miles, and we had a bunch of people participate in that. That's something I teamed up with another not-for-profit, Beyond Athletics, which is a organization that trains student athletes. Mm-hmm. And then just recently, me and my wife, we did a lot of kayaking, a lot of biking, a lot of hiking. So this past summer was really extensive for us.
Wow!
And I kept a journal of all of those things that we did as far as diet. So for the last 3 years, all of the diets, all of the exercises.
Yeah, we
ended up writing a book, and we're going to be releasing that book pretty soon as well.
Oh, that's cool. What's the diet like?
We tried everything from keto. We did the Mediterranean diet. We did the Atkins diet. And we found that if we did a little combination of each of those, minus the keto, because it takes a while to get into ketosis, that it worked. And so we did a small escalation of, cutting foods out a little bit at a time, seeing the effects it had on our bodies. We fluctuated with we interchanged the different exercising approaches. We did calisthenics. We did some HIIT training, high interval intensity training. We also just did a lot of walking, a lot of running, and we took notes for 3 years and put it all in the book.
Wow. So just give me an idea, LA to New York. So when you start out, do you guys have a set number of miles that you'll ride and then rest, and how's that going to work? Do you go until you're tired? How you doing that?
Well, I'm 46 years old, right? And so it's important that I stay healthy.
Mm.
So when we planned out the route, I average on a good pace, not going too fast, not trying to compete or anything like that. I average about 14 to 16 miles per hour.
Okay.
At a good pace. And so we planned that we do 100 miles a day, which would give me 8 hours of riding time each day. I don't want to go too much, past that. And so at that pace, we'd be able to do 100 miles a day.
Wow. 8 hours of riding?
8 hours of riding a day.
Wow. That's a lot of water, right?
Lots of water.
Wow, man. That's
lots and lots of water.
That's commendable.
And there's another organization in particular through the Prince-Hall Masons that I also am going to work with. In each lodge, we have something called the Knights of Pythagoras, and it's for young men. And in each state, I'm going to stop and I'm going to talk with them as well, try and encourage the young African American men. Well, KOP is not restrictive, so talk to the young men. And also begin to try and develop a program that pushes African American men into these jobs as well. So KOP is going to be one of the main beneficiaries of the CTW.
Okay, so explain to me how the ride itself generates dollars. Are people sponsoring you, or do you have sponsors? How's that working?
Yes, we have some corporate sponsors, and I can list those on the website. People have been very generous with their donations. Individual people and some private companies. So some major institutions that we've talked to have donated, and people have been very, 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 very supportive.
Now, is this per mile, or these are just specific amounts?
Just specific amounts, but you gave me a great idea. I could probably do a per mile.
Right. How many miles again?
It's almost 4,000.
So if somebody did want to donate and help out in that respect, how would they do it?
They can go straight to the website, www.ctwfoundationinc.com.
All right. So www.ctwfoundationinc. INC, that's INC.com.
Correct.
And you can now you have information there, your pictures on there, all kind of information, correct?
Absolutely. We have information on there. I'm doing a YouTube channel. So if you click on the TLW events, you'll see different videos I put up. I'll be keeping track of everything I do all the way up until the day I leave. Once I leave, I'll put the camera on my helmet, another camera on my handlebars, and give updates every single day.
Okay, so people will actually be able to virtually ride with you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I might have to check that out. But yeah, man, that's very, very commendable. And just CTW Foundation. What other things have you guys done in the Rochester community?
Well, I've been in real estate. Oh man, 15, 16 years, and right now we have a group in Rochester called the Rochester Landlord Group. In this particular group, how we are changing some of the dynamics in the city is it takes, many hands make light work. That's a saying I've heard before. So once people take the Wealth in Real Estate seminar, then because we focus on social entrepreneurship, and this seminar is a lot different than regular seminars because the whole focus isn't just on becoming independently wealthy. It teaches you how to invest in the community, how to get involved with politics, how to be a good neighbor, how to be a good steward of the information that you do have. And so this particular group, we've taken my strategy and given it to a lot of other people. So now we're all purchasing houses that are dilapidated. We're all purchasing houses that could probably use some help. We're working with the local politicians on seeing what it is that the community members need or our tenants would need. There's a lot of vacant land. You know, when we were young, we used to be able to go out to any playground that was nearby and go play. Mm-hmm. The lack of playgrounds, lack of, play space. So the Rochester Landlord Group is a regular civilian group, just regular people that have decided to invest in their own communities. And that's huge because we are the people that live in these neighborhoods. We are the people that play in these neighborhoods. We go to work in these neighborhoods. And too often what happens is we find people always leaning on elected officials to try and make that change for us. We've decided that we want to use the government as a resource and not hold them responsible for how we live.
Right.
So those are some of the things that we're doing now. We got a community garden that we started last year. We have a political action committee that we started so we can hold it's called I forgot the name of the PAC, the Political Action Committee. It's a Committee for Urban Renewal.
Okay.
We started that so that we could, help elect politicians, hold our funds back from politicians that aren't keeping up with their promises. Mm-hmm. So this is a very, very aggressive group.
Right.
And right now, I believe it's like 18 of us and growing.
So back to this bike ride. Why did you choose LA? Why did you choose LA as the starting point? And
Grand Lodge.
And why?
Prince Hall Grand Lodge.
I'm sorry?
The Prince Hall Grand Lodge in LA is a great place for me to start because they have a nice Pythagoras program, and my Masonic brothers are there, so it's a great starting point.
Oh, okay. And so why didn't you choose to end up in Rochester?
Because our Grand Lodge is in New York.
Oh, okay,
so I went to start at a Grand Lodge and end at a Grand Lodge.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, man. Well, good. Well, I don't even want to say good luck. God bless you on this
Thanks,
on this ride that you're going to do for 4,000 miles from LA to New York to raise funds for CTW Foundation, which will benefit any young people listening who might be interested in engineering, architecture. What else? What are the other areas, Tracy?
We have urban planner, corporate law, tax law, community development, real estate development. All of those fields qualify.
Now, there are colleges that specifically have those type of majors, so to speak?
Absolutely. And some of the programs, even if you go into real estate development, there are programs that you have to pay to go into real estate development. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year degree, but if there's a program out that teaches a young man a vocational skill, we will help with that as well. So there are some stipulations that allow for that.
Right.
So that's the beauty of the CTW Foundation. We want to make sure that we give everyone an opportunity to get involved in this field.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the last question I want to ask you: you said 100 miles a day. Is this like a Monday through Sunday ride, or Monday through Friday?
Every day.
Every day.
100 miles every day.
Okay, so 100 miles every day. And you said 2 months. That's about 60 days.
There are some days that I'll stop because I'm meeting with community leaders.
Okay, so we'll drop it down to maybe 50 days.
50 days of riding, yes.
Okay, so 50 days of riding. So where are you gonna stay?
Again, because I'm a Mason, I'll reach out to some of my brothers. I'll stay with them, and then there's some hotels that we'll stay in some nights. I'll stay in,
Okay.
And some nights I'm going to have a tent with me. I have to pitch a tent.
So what I'm getting at is this ride is costing you something.
It is.
About how much?
When we did our math, the travel alone is going to be somewhere around $11,000.
Wow, 11,000?
$11,000 just in travel and equipment.
So is this your own money, or
that part is my own money? Yes.
Really? So you're willing to on your own invest $11,000 of your own money out of your own pocket to do this for students.
Absolutely.
Or for young people.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
It has to happen. Again, 14 years I've been doing this, and not much has changed in the landscape or the makeup. I actually have the numbers here. When you think about lawyers, real estate developers, urban planners, and architects, minorities only represent 11%, 4%, 3.5%, and 2.6% respectively.
Right. There's got to be a clause in this, man. Any whatever student or students get the scholarship, you got to make them give 10% of their first annual income, to you, to recoup this $11,000.
We would hope that they give back to the foundation that helps them, but no, there isn't a stipulation. The stipulation is that you maintain a good GPA, that you graduate. That's basically, you got to maintain a good GPA and stay in your field. You can't get the scholarship and then switch majors or anything like that. You have to graduate with that degree.
Is there even
stipulations? Be a very good student.
Is there even a GoFundMe page to help you guys with this $11,000 that you're going to need to do this whole ride?
I have not set up a GoFundMe page as of yet. That's something that the board is talking about. We actually have a meeting coming up to discuss that. Mm-hmm. So, no, we have not done a GoFundMe page as of yet, but we talked about it.
Yeah, if you're going to do this, live every day, you have your camera set up and people can follow along. I'm sure a GoFundMe page, you guys will probably, pay for your expenses.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching, and like I said, I want to get my $20 worth out of you. But this is a very commendable thing you're doing, Tracy, and your wife, in memory of your wife that passed, and your children as well. So God bless you guys, man. It's a great great service that you're doing for the community.
Right, and my children, Romel Williams and Brianna Williams, as we've talked about it over the years, and they've begun to push their idea as well. So they were adamant about it. So I want to thank my children, Romel Williams and Brianna Williams, for continuing to push me to do this.
Oh, that's great. All right, well, Tracy, thanks for your time, man, and we'll be watching and keep track of how this is going. The CTW Foundation and your ride from Los Angeles to New York, 4,000 miles. Unbelievable.
Correct.
All right, man. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for interviewing me, Todd. Have a good one.
Oh, Tracy, before you go, one more important question that we didn't cover. If there's a young person listening now, and is there an age criteria?
For the scholarship, it has to be a senior. And you can go directly to the website, CTWFoundationInc.com, and write an essay about, what you plan on doing, why you plan on doing it, and we'll look at that.
Okay. So it has to be a senior. Go to the website, CTWFoundationInc.com, and write an essay regarding, now does it have to be specific to these areas of profession, architecture? What are the areas again?
The area, it's be an architect, civil engineer, urban planner, corporate law, tax law, real estate development. So if you write an essay on why you want to get into those fields and what changes you plan on making, that's all we're looking for.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All right. Okay, Trace. So thanks again, and we'll follow you along, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
All right.